Right, week 2 reflection. Right, what happened this week? So, boom. Let's just get this started off. Boom. Monday. What were we given? We had Leanne. What were we given? A duologue. What was that duologue? It was Beth and Tobes duologue. Do I remember where it's from? No, but something I do know is that it's a duologue between Beth and Tobes. Now, what is this context? So essentially, Beth and Tobes, they're in a relationship, okay? They're in a relationship and Beth is trying to break up with Tobes. And the thing is, I play the character of Tobes and I know Tobes is a very young, naive and desperate young man. I do know that for a fact, as it says it right over here. Now, I did this with Summer and we were just doing the duologue over and over again. And when we performed it, I think it went quite well. I mean, and there will be a video on my coursework about how, about the performance in general and what I think went well and what I think could have gone a lot better. I mean, what went well? My pitch was absolutely fantastic. You know, I absolutely loved working with Summer. I thought Summer was an absolutely fantastic person to work with, me personally, because her and I have got very good chemistry and we're both quite serious actors and, well, we were very easily able to blend in perfectly. That's one positive. Another positive was just Summer in general. I thought she was an absolutely fantastic partner. Leanne, Haley, or Ryan, if you're seeing this, pair me up with Summer more often. I like working with her. So when I was with my classmate Summer, that went really well. You know, she gave me a lot of advice. I gave her some advice on how we can expand on her characters, because it is quite a serious scene, but with some comedic effects to it. And even though I'm quite a serious actor, I did find it quite tough to get the comedic effects on point. But overall, I thought it went quite well. You know, overall, I felt it went quite well. And yeah, so the storyline basis. So when I was performing this with Summer. I tried to make sure that I was doing active listening as I was performing with her, but also I was trying to make sure that I wasn't trying too hard. However, that is an EBI of mine, is trying too hard, because when we were doing the scene, I remember there was one time when we did the scene actually, and the video will be on the coursework. So when I was doing the scene, we were going through like a massive argument together, and eventually it just turned out. It turned out really good at first, but towards the end, I did a little bit of a pause. Now, in my head, I did that pause for extra dramatic effect. But the way Leanne told me she saw it was me just killing the vibe, which let's try and get this lighting a bit better. Oh, it doesn't go better. Oh, which is not ideal, because it's just better to get the vibe, but. So, what went well? Voice was very good. My chemistry with Summer was very good. I feel like I understood the character very well. Young, very naive, desperate person. He's not very experienced in life, and I feel like I can. Relate to that, because I'm not quite experienced in life myself. But I think that circumstance went really well. It's just an EBI of mine was that I was trying way too hard sometimes in the scene, and it in a way just killed the vibe. Like, it was a really good scene that we did, and I just got killed towards the end of it, and I really don't like that. And I could have just made it a lot better, you know, with some more active movement as well. I could have maybe moved a bit more. I felt like in the rehearsals we did a little bit more movement. This time I was definitely more sitting where I should have been, and, well, that's not really the best thing, but hey, it is what it is. And that's really what happened for Monday. So we were focused on a Beth and Tobes duologue, one boy, one girl. For Tuesday, we were set into groups. And in these groups, we were with the level 4s. And we were just each of us were doing something different. And in my group, it was between 5 boys, I remember. There was a boxer, an upcoming boxer. There was an upcoming boxer as character 1. Character 2 was the coach. Character 3 was a absolute joke man of a person. Like, this character... He's just a joke, man. Number 4 is quite a bossy person. It's actually played by a girl, but it can also be played by a guy. It's like played by a very tough girl, but it can also be played as a guy. And number 5 is an absolute loser. I played the role of an absolute loser. I was with the boys in my class, so I was with TJ, I was with Kai, I was with Riley, I was with Kyrie, and it was just myself. And the 5 of us were kind of depicting a plan on how we can do this much better. So we're just kind of trying to go over the scenes over and over again. So we kept reading through the paragraph. That was a good thing that we'd done. We kept reading through the script to try and understand the kind of basis of the storyline. And when we understood, okay, we started reading the stage directions, and then we started to read read what the characters were saying, and we were trying to picture in our heads what way these characters were saying their things, and we're like, okay, this is quite good. So when it came to us doing further rehearsals, me and Kyrie actually kind of realised that one of our conversations is actually kind of like, he shoves me to a wall kind of shit. Excuse the language, I do apologise. He kind of just shoves me at the back, he kind of just topples me on the floor, and he just kind of puts me in my place. So, and we kind of depicted that. So we saw what happened in the script, and we're like, all right, we're going to do that ourselves. So he pushed me on the floor, safely, I promise you safely. He pushed me on the floor, and then he did a bit of a declare at me, and then he started saying his lines, I was saying my lines, and boom, just like that. That was a good thing that we done. We were able to really brainstorm ideas together as a group to try and make it more naturalistic and more realistic, which I thought it was absolutely incredible with my group, and I think we overall did really well. We ended up not performing it actually because we didn't have enough time, but overall I thought it was absolutely fantastic. You know, the way we worked together, we were able to devise plans, we were able to devise how our characters are, we were able to see which character suited which. Yes, I suited the loser, but it is what it is. And we were just able to make it a way where it really suited all of us. And, well, yeah, and also off, when it came to offline acting as well, I kind of acted a bit like closed off because, you know, I kind of just got put into my place, you know. So I was also making sure of that, which was also a good positive of mine. And yeah, that was it for Tuesday. Wednesday was the day off. So Thursday, boom, we were with the year one. So we were given a skit by Leanne and Haley from the play DNA. And in DNA, I remember that we were given, oh wait, I skipped a bit. So, sorry. On Tuesday as well, we actually learnt voice with Ryan. So we actually kind of learnt how the voice works and what's good for the voice. So, oh no, that was Thursday. Okay, I'm getting it a bit mixed up. So on Thursday, the first thing we did was voice with Ryan. So we kind of learnt about how the voice works and what makes the voice kind of work. What's good for the voice, what's bad for the voice, etc, etc, etc. So we were split into groups one more time. We were in groups of three. Groups of four. I was with TJ, Eden, and Riley. We were doing a kind of... We had to do some sort of thing. It could be a rap, it could be a skit, it could be a song, it could be whatever. It could be absolutely whatever it wants. Explaining about what is bad for the voice and what's good for the voice. So for example, what's bad for the voice, you know, things like smoking, vaping, shouting without warming up your vocal cords, screaming, like really excessive screaming without warming up your vocal cords, and not talking from the diaphragm enough as well, or just talking too much in general. It's not good for the voice. You can really strain the muscles. Over here, we kind of did a little bit of biology about which ones where. I should have a photo. I should have a photo of that on the coursework. So yeah, so the coursework, there should be a photo of what we did around, and there should also be a video of kind of how when air enters our stomach and how it gets transmitted back into as a voice. So that is quite cool in itself. So that's something we did with Ryan, a little bit of learning with Ryan, what went well. You know, I learned quite a lot of biology, especially in my group. We actually did an advert as our product. So we were split into like groups of 3, groups of 4, which I've already mentioned previously, and we just had to include in our piece about what's good for your throat, what's bad for your throat. So it could be a rap, it could be an advert, it could be a song, it could be absolutely whatever. We decided to do an advert, and I thought it went really well, you know. Me and TJ were just kind of, the way it goes is that it's from Old Truman. So Old Truman is essentially a show where the brother does not know he is being recorded. So we just kind of did a little bit of a scene from that. You know, we did a scene where he comes back from home and he's like, oh, I've got a sore throat. And then bang, me and TJ just jump out the chair like, bang, have you been doing any of this blah, 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 any bad things like smoking, vaping, screaming, and a little bit of a comedic thing that we added was a baseball to the throat. And then, you know, we kind of said all the negatives which were bad for his throat, and well, yeah, it was a really good thing, and everyone started laughing. I thought it was a really good scene so far. We actually didn't end up recording it, which I'm a bit gutted about, but you know what, it is what it is. But you know, that went really well. And then also on Thursday we will live the level 1, so we did a skit with Haley and Leanne. We were set into groups, and we did it. I'm getting too much. And we did a little we did a skit with the year 1. So we all split into groups one more time. I was with the year 1s, I was with Chloe, I was with Tiona, I was with Jordan from year 1, and I was with Harriet. So I was with 4 year 1s. I was the only year 2. I was not complaining because I get along with every single one of them, so I was not complaining one bit. And it was from the show DNA. What is DNA about? Well, DNA is about a group of teenagers which pull a bunch of pranks, and then eventually they're like, oh snap, nearly swore there. And then they're like, oh snap, we actually done something wrong. And then they're up hiding in the bushes, etc, etc, etc. So the moral of the story, where the scene is, we are set in a forest and we play different characters. I played the character of Richard, and I've actually still got the lines here. And what did I think of my character as Richard? So Richard seems a bit more of an alert person, you know, he seems to be on the older side of the age group. And overall with Richard, I think I suited Richard quite well, you know, as I was one of the older ones in the group, but I think I did really well as Richard, and I actually do have it recorded, which I'm absolutely delighted with, and that will also be posted onto the coursework. So we did DNA. What went well with this, I worked really, really well with the year ones, and I absolutely loved working with them. I think they're a group of people, a group of amazing people with very talented actors. I think it was absolutely incredible. And a good thing as well is that because at the very end, each and every single one of us, one by one, were performing our little piece, and I thought it was just amazing to just kind of steal ideas from other people, which were like, oh, I quite like that, maybe I'll add that to mine, you know. And an EBI, working together was quite stressful. It was quite stressful because neither of us knew what DNA was, so it was quite a bit of a hassle to be like, oh gosh, we actually need to, you know, we need to make sure that we're going some ways, doing certain things, you know, we need to make sure this is realistic, not over the top. And something that we actually didn't do in the beginning was a lot of movement, which thankfully Leanne was there to help us out with, because our piece was mostly sitting down, which is quite boring. And we're like, you know what? Let's add a bit of movement. So, you know, Leanne was right there. She was like, right, guys. Leanne was here, by the way. She goes, okay, we need to add some movement. Bam, just like that, there's extra movement. And just like that, boom. And like 1, 2, 3, boom. Just like that, boom. We already got a piece set up, and it's so much better. Thank you so much, Leanne. If you're watching this, Leanne, I love you. Thank you so much for helping us out, because we needed that help. We really, really needed that help. For the final show thing, I think what went well, my voice, my pitch was great. I was able to do a little bit of comedic acting, which is quite a surprising thing, because as I'm quite a serious actor. But I was able to do some of that, which was absolutely incredible. And an EBI, I would say, I was just tense. Like, I remember as well, because we only had, like, what, 2.5 hours to set this whole thing up. I was not entirely off script, but neither was everyone else. So I was kind of looking down at my script, which is okay, but I do wish that I was off script. And also, when I was holding the script, I was nervous. I will admit, I was nervous. So I was a little bit shaky, you feel me? I was a little bit shaky, but you know what? That's just normal. It is what it is. You get a bit shaky sometimes, and you just need to understand to just take a deep breath. Remember, it's just school. You're going to get many chances, and just, you know, you're going to do better. But yeah, that's what we did with the year ones. The recording will be up there, and with what went well with EBIs. I mean, what went well for me in that thing, like I said, you know, voice on point, made a bit of comedic acting, made the people laugh. I thought I suited the role of Richard very well. And also as well, I did not mention, we did the Stanislavski 5 questions, like where am I, what am I, who am I, what am I doing here, what I want, how do I want it. We did all of those questions with Stanislavski, we did all of those things with the different characters, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. We done that. Woo! And that was Thursday. So on Friday, yes, there is more. So Friday, we were with Ryan. We were focusing more on voice acting with Ryan, and this was Ryan Dusha. This was the blonde Ryan. Ryan Dusha. I'm so sorry if you're watching this. If I pronounce your name wrong, I do deeply apologise. So the thing that we done with Ryan was we focused firstly on voice acting, and what he made us do essentially, he made us listen to 4 different recordings, and in these 4 different recordings are actually advertisements, and in these advertisements we had to depict what they were advertising, how they were advertising it, what kind of not really scenery, but what kind of theme were they going for with the advertisements. And I do have all of this written down as well. I will of course be putting it onto the coursework. So for example, the first one was a Sainsbury's advert. It was quite happy, quite jolly, you know, quite trying to, you know, invite the person to come over to Sainsbury's. You know, it's a friendly store, you know, there's nothing to fear, you know, you feel me? And the second recording I remember was quite toxic masculinity. So it was about a razor company, it was a skincare company for men, and it was using quite toxic masculinity. So it was quite macho, very, very, very macho, or very toxic. It was just, I just remember the voice actor, and bear in mind, all 4 voice actors were the exact same, all four recordings were played by the exact same voice actor, and I just remember the voice actor was being quite, like, if it sounded like he had quite a big ego, which is fair enough, because that's just how the advertisement wanted him to do it, so yeah. I remember the third one as well. The third one was about, I remember on the top of my head, what was the third one about? Oh crap. Oh yeah, the third one was about a football club. So the football club. So essentially, it was a very sad tune. You know, they had sad music. The person was speaking very clearly, but very sadly. You know, blah 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 blah. We also had to specify in our notes like what were the target audiences. So for example, I say for that one about the football one, which is quite a sad one, I said the target audience was anyone who cared enough about football. So maybe a bit on the older side, you know, on the older side of people of life that can maybe spare a few pennies for the football club that they are advertising that is unfortunately going to go bankrupt. So, yeah. And there was a fourth advertising about Heinz. I remember it was about Heinz, and it was really, really interesting to me about how voice acting is very similar to actually acting. You need to really understand in a way what you're going to be voice acting. So you need to make sure the kind of tone you're using, the speed you're going at, you know, the depth, the pitch you're going for as well for the theme. Because if I'm going something quite loud and jolly, I might be very, very excited about what I'm saying. But if I'm going really, really quiet like so, I might be trying to get underneath someone's skin in a way of making them feel sorry, or making them feel some sort of mercy for what they're watching. But it's just incredible about how voice acting works, because it's the first time we've ever done this ever in college. And as well, towards the end we were given like a mini script, like a mini script of a voice acting casting call. So essentially the way it went was there was a voice acting casting call. They gave us like a little bit, I like to call it a synopsis of what the advert we're talking about is going to be about. So we are going to be doing the voice acting. So for example, the sheet is here, there's going to be like a little mini dialogue of a script there, and at the top of it was a little bit of a dialogue on what we were actually going to be acting about. So ours was about a mortgage company, and we had 10 minutes to try and revise as much as we can from the sheet onto, well, in real life. And I remember he was also picking songs for us to do as well. He was picking like different songs. Well, they were lyricless songs that we had to do with the voice acting to try and make our voice acting suit the song. So it could have been happy, it could have been sad, could have been slow, could have been fast, it could have been all kinds of different things. And well, yeah. And yeah, that's what we've done with Ryan. And I need to really take a quick sip on something. Oh god, that was hot. But anyway, that's what we did with Ryan. It was focused a lot more on voice acting, how the voice is used, you know, how it's kind of, voice acting is just very similar to real acting. It's about knowing what you're going to be acting about, knowing how fast you need to go, how slow you need to go, knowing about, you know, how much you need to go as well. Like, it's just crazy to me, and it's something I've really learnt a lot from. So, and in my final voice acting thing that we did, so for example, the mortgage company that we had to kind of advertise for, we were given like a little script for that I mentioned earlier. What did I do in that? I thought I was very clear at first. I did blunder at the start, but thankfully Ryan, if you're watching this, Ryan, absolutely incredible teacher. He let me redo it again, and then I redid it again. I was very clear, very on point. What went well, voice was very clear. I was very clear to the script. My voice actually suited the song really, really well, which I'm really excited about. And what could have gone better with that if I was off script and talking more from here and putting more emphasis into it. However, we only had 10 minutes to try and revise as much as we could for a challenge, but 10 minutes is quite a bit, so I really needed to have the script there. But thankfully the script was there, and yeah, that was done. And that, after about 90 minutes, is what happened for week 2. Woo! I'll see you lot for week 3.